Debt seems to be the big go-to right now. There's not a whole lot of equity deals. I mean, the reality is if you're looking for an equity investment, you're going to lose. The investors are going to get exactly what they want for the amount of money that they're going to put in, and you're going to lose control of your company, and I think that's just a fact. So if you're going to do debt, there's some debt vehicles out there. It's expensive money, but there's a lot of opportunities in Canada because we paid cash for everything. Literally, we paid cash to start our entire business. So you do have some debt solutions, but I think it should be a last resort. I think with companies like CapitalNow Cannabis, we have the ability to provide you the liquidity so that when you're out there doing your debt or your equity deal, you're already in good financial shape to do that, and you have a little more control.
I'm just going to step in, sorry. I'm going to disagree with one comment here. Last year, on average, our clients in the cannabis space gave no more than 3% of equity in their company. No more than 3%, non-voting shares, and the crowd was happy.
In the US or Canada?
Sorry?
In the US.
Canadian and US companies. US or Canadian companies. It's just here, you're used to going to that Vulture, the Canaccord guys, the broker-dealer model here. Our model in Canada is broken. We have no venture space. We have vultures that take advantage of early-stage companies. In the United States in 2012, when Obama signed the Jobs Act in, what he brought in was inclusion, something Canada does not have. What does that mean? It means that anybody over the age of 18, anywhere in the world, listen to this, anywhere in the world can invest in a Canadian or a US-based company, and you can raise up to $75 million every 12 months on your terms. On your terms. And that is the game changer. The ones who have figured it out have overskipped the Canaccords, and these guys are now getting, they're getting nasty because they're losing deals. A cannabis company going on TSXV, he's right, you're going to lose it. You're never going to own your company. But if you stay private, you grow your revenues. Look at Enjoy Moxie. Enjoy Moxie has been with me for 4 or 5 years now. This company will never be public until it reaches over $1 billion in valuation or two. It's growing its revenues year in and year out, and it keeps going back to the same audience that buys their products to invest in their company. What a great combination.
Yeah, we talked yesterday on a panel that I was on about the advantages of private or going public, and there definitely is advantageous things to both and some struggles for both as well.
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
So there are times when raising equity really makes a lot of sense. I think that sometimes you can bring in equity shareholders who are going to help you to advance your business, who are going to make introductions. I think the key issue is you really need to be really careful when you're doing equity or convertible debt deals, especially convertible debt, because the debt inevitably is going to come due at a time when you haven't fulfilled all your obligations under the debt, and you're going to have to give up extra equity, etc. So make sure that you have proper advisors who care about you and care about your future and your financial destiny. But I wouldn't shut the door on equity or debt deals, especially equity deals, because for some companies at certain stages of the development, it's crucial to raise equity. That's the only way they can really move forward. But just be really, really careful about the terms on your convertible debt, because they're going to come back to haunt you 90% of the time.
So what would be your best advice for an entrepreneur or CEO who wants to improve the cash flow or the state of their business as quickly as possible? And what would you say is step number one? So everyone can reply to this, so whoever wants to take it first.
I'll go. So I would say to anyone who wants to get into the space, start with the regulatory piece and make sure you have that in line and set up first, because that is your biggest asset. And then, if you have the right infrastructure and you do your diligence in terms of your plans, Justin, you spoke about using data to understand your customer base. So in a retail setting, for example, now that there's a lot more supply available, I think early days, you got the list from the AGLC or the OCS, and you was like, there's 5 things you can buy. Which one do you want? Now there's a lot of choice. There's a lot more available in terms of product, in terms of technology. So I would say do your homework. Do your homework before you make the choices, and leverage really good advisors. And on the sort of banking compliance governance side, if you start in the right way, you have secure financial services, you have written contracts, you have an accountant to sort of to help you with your books, it'll make the path much smoother. So starting on the right foot will make a really big difference. And a plug for Merrco, I would just reiterate from our standpoint, payment solutions integrated with all the tech in the space. It's an important piece of your business if you're retail or you're selling direct to consumer on the medical side from a licensed producer standpoint. Making sure you get your deposits, your settlements in a timely way will help you on a daily basis from a cash flow standpoint.
Make sure you have good advisors. Manage your cash flow, crucial. And when you make commitments to people, follow through on them. Companies live and breathe based on how they fulfilled their commitments they've made to investors, to advisors, to everybody out there.
I would say be fully compliant. Your operational side will make your corporate side, meaning you need access to capital, whether it's factoring or equity or debt, no matter what. Make sure you're fully compliant on that end. Will make it easier on this side because it's the only way you can access capital in any form.
For me, I think it would be one, looking at your cash flows, understanding what your biggest use of cash is. So, and there's different levels of analysis you can do on either, but in the case that's inventory, Fern, you spoke to this, I think rethinking how we actually go about inventory selection. Right now, one thing is we go by the data, the other thing is we fall victim to a lot of these data agreements, which honestly hold us hostage in terms of what types of products we can purchase. So I think coming at it with a fresh lens and putting the onus on yourself to carry your products is one thing. And the labor side of things, if that's your biggest use of cash, I think there's a mentality shift that we can have in terms of looking at it as a cost center versus a profit center. One thing I'm proud about that we do is we give back to our employees by doing a 10% profit sharing pool. That just goes directly back to the team. And I think what that does is conventional retail wisdom tells us that your employees and HR is your biggest use of cash. You're going to see turnover and you're going to see people stealing and time theft, et cetera, but people act in accordance to how you incentivize them. So I think switching your incentive systems, if we know that labor is your biggest use of cash, really changes how people operate, and it makes your HR an actual profit generator.
So amazing. Justin set me up perfectly because the reality is that none of this matters. None of the stuff that we do matter if you can't sell your product. So sales is the number one focus that you need to be on because everything else tends to help itself out. You will get to profit if you're selling. You will get cash flow if you're selling. You will have loyal employees and everything around the selling. So I would encourage you to focus on selling first. The other thing I've been kind of, I don't want to say ranting about, but it's very common right now. The OCS has said that they want to have 10,000 SKUs and everybody's out there trying to get SKUs. So if you're a smaller company, if you got 20, 25 SKUs and only one of them are profitable, I think you need to focus on the one that's making you money and really, really focus on that one and get rid of the rest. So I would be as good as you can be on the product that you believe in and sell it like crazy, and then the rest of the stuff line in place. You'll grow aggressively. And like what Justin said, providing incentive to his employees, they're your salespeople. They're the ones that are driving this business. And that's a really smart way of doing things. And that's how we approach too. We really look for opportunities within our clients to say, hey, if you put a little more money into this and focus on this, your return is going to be greater than all the other stuff that you're doing. And that's the important part of the business, is really trying to help these guys grow.
Fantastic. So we have 10 minutes left, so we're going to talk about one more issue, and then if there's any questions. So let's talk about taxes. Taxes, obviously, in cannabis, both in the US and Canada, are a huge thing. I've heard there is a lot of taxes still owed to the government here in Canada. So I'll ask everybody to answer this if they can. How does taxes affect the cash flow of businesses, and is there a solution to it?
Regulatory change. I mean, I think if you're referring to the articles that we've all seen probably recently, the government is taking just too much, and there's too many layers, and there's a lot of lobbying that's happening, and I would say that needs to continue. It's a real industry. And for Canada, it's an important one and a growing one, and it was one of the only ones that was growing during COVID. Lots of jobs, lots of investment in the space, and the government should take notice. All levels of government should take notice.
I don't know much. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out. But the way I look at cannabis, and you're not going to like this analogy, but it's like the oil and gas business. You got to be at the pump. Right at the pump, you got to take the money out. There shouldn't be a tax issue right now in the cannabis space. There shouldn't be. That means the owners are mismanaging funds. If your top line revenue is $10, it isn't. Your top line revenue is your chunk, and that's it. The rest should be taken out. And if you guys have followed the oil and gas industry, the money never flows into the stores. It's automatically taken at the pump. That's how perfect it is. And I think if you guys move in that direction, you'll solve this problem.
I think it's really a cash management issue, and that is that entrepreneurs are using CRA as a source of financing. And that's a very, very dangerous thing to do, especially if you have independent directors on your board, you have people who aren't involved in operations, you're putting them at risk. CRA is not a source of financing. You have to pay your CRA bills as they come due.
Bang on all the way across the board. The tax issue is not going to go anywhere. I hate to break it to you guys, but legalization did not happen so that you could get high. They did it as a revenue stream. So to think that the government is going to not collect their taxes on this product is not going to help you grow your business. We will still fund people with CRA arrears. In fact, we've actually helped a couple of companies get out of their CRA arrears. We've actually directed payments to the CRA so they can stay compliant. We really understand the tax structure and how to be done, like how to move it forward, but I agree with these guys 100%. It is not your money. It shouldn't be counted as your money, and you shouldn't be using it anywhere other than sending it back to the government. I think it's at 52 million right now is the excise tax arrears. But there's a lot of companies out there that have no tax arrears. Those are the ones that are going to grow, and those are the ones that are going to do well. And the other ones, I'll help you get out of the mess if you've got the sales. So
I know it's a little bit different for retail, Justin, but do you have anything you want to add?
For us, at the end of the day, we're cost takers, right? We have to absorb that cost at the end of the day. We don't have really much control about it. Really just working with our accountant to make sure that we're not in a vulnerable position when it comes to tax season. So honestly, step one for us was just having a good accountant who made us really aware of this early on.
Obviously affects the bottom line though with taxes. I mean, for every company in cannabis, all the way from, nurseries to cultivation, post-processing, and then also into retail. So it's a huge thing for sure. So how can everyone find you? Social media and otherwise. I'm a huge proponent of social media. And then if anyone has any questions other than that, I think we've covered all the bases. So go ahead.
Merrco.com is our website, and we're on socials as well. And Fern Glowinsky at Merrco.com. And I'll be around today, so if you want to chat, I'd love to chat with you.
Zeifmans.ca, I'm Larry, and LinkedIn is the ultimate business social media site.
You can find me on LinkedIn, Oscar Jofrewho, and then I can direct you whichever path you would like.
Yeah, similarly, you can find me on LinkedIn, Justin John. Our company website is www.thewoodscannabis.ca. Social media might be a bit tough because we got in shadow banned, but if you spell it the full thing, you can find us there as well at the Woods Cannabis.
That's great. So we use LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn has been phenomenal for the cannabis space, but it's CapitalNowCannabis.com. I'm going to be around here for the next 2 days. I've met quite a few of you already, but I would love to have more of these discussions and see how we can help out.
I definitely am learning this whole conference is that I need to be more on LinkedIn. Everyone's like, LinkedIn's the best. It's like the missing piece in my handbag. So
Cannabis is the largest group of people on LinkedIn.
I know. Why did I not think of this sooner? But
it's been the most hospitable to the industry.
Yeah, I definitely think that. There's no shadow banning on LinkedIn. So you and I, we're going to hit LinkedIn.
Yeah, you can't advertise though, unfortunately, but you can definitely make all the connections. And Twitter has actually been very friendly too. But yeah, and I'm not a fan of Facebook, so I'm okay with no Facebook and no Instagram anyway.
I think LinkedIn is the most underrated social media site out there. It's awesome for growing your business. There's nothing else that compares to it.
So if you didn't learn enough about cash flow, what we're telling you is everyone should be on LinkedIn. So do we have any questions? If not, we'll wrap it up. But it was super nice to chat with all of you today, and I feel like we gave a lot of good education and information during the panel. Have a great day, everyone.